So we're going to be working off coming in and working off of a grip. So whatever leg is forward, I'm going to come in with that hand down, and I'm looking to get an over grip on his hand. Right? From here, I want to step to the inside. As I step to the inside, I'm going to lead with that leg and that hip to start getting him off balance. I can either stay with this wrist grip, or I can then come to an underhook. It doesn't really matter, whatever feels better to you. From here, I'm grabbing the inside of the wrist on the far side, so I have inside space. Now I'm starting to off balance and move him around. Alright, so we're getting to here. Once I'm here, I'm going to make a switch to an arm drag. So my arm comes across to his elbow. I step inside his foot. I pull that arm across. And now I'm going to step to the outside. As I pull this arm drag, I'm going to block his far leg. So I'm land right here. And now I'm pinching this leg with my legs. My hand goes to his hip, and I lock his hip down. So I have control of him right here. Alright? So again. So we're here. Stepping in, getting that control, pushing him here, step across, pull, grab. All right. Here. Here's that spot. Does that make sense? See it again. One more time. Coming in, pushing, step across, pull, catch. All right, we're landing right here with this control. All right. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. That's going to get me to his back. Right? And we're here. And what I want to do is I want to pick a hip for my hands to be over. Once I'm there, I'm going to bring my body off to that side. And now all I'm going to do is walk him. I'm just going to walk him forward. And all I'm doing is timing his steps on this leg. Take him down.
So cartoon.
It's one of the most demoralizing takedowns you can do. Right?
I'm still so good.
So step in, I get here. So again, it's step, pull, block, grab the hip. Right? I'm pinching this leg so he has nowhere to go right now. Alright? Come to his back, pick a side, heads off to that side so I can see his foot, and start walking. Right? Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Here, make sure this penetrating leg, when I'm here, I'm not turning like I'm doing a hip toss. I'm staying this way, my toes pointed this way. All right, my weight's on my back leg, and I'm driving into his hips to keep him off balance. All right, I hit my little arm drag, catch here, and come to the back. All right, so now I'm going to come off to the side again. But this time, instead of walking him, I'm going to try to touch my shoulder on top of his shoulder. Right? Now my knee is going to come on top of his knee. And now I'm just going to hop to get him here. Once his hands hit the mat, I'm going S grip, and I'm twisting my elbows to sit him down. My top hand grabs the bottom of his hip. I slide my knee up in here, and I'm sitting right like this. Because now it's his choice what happens, right? He's got to figure out where he can go. He can't turn back into me. He's got to go away, and we can take the back, all right? So again, we're here. I get this to get to this spot, all right? Come around. I'm getting my shoulder on top of his, knee on top of his knee to get him here. Now I go S grip, whip him. Catch right here. All right, slide my knee in and I sit. All right, I'm good right here. All right, he's going to just determine where we go.
When you sit before he decides to turn, if there happens to be a moment of time there, do you want to go ahead and get your hook, or do you want to wait until he turns?
You can wait, because he doesn't have any choices there. All of his choices are bad. Right, so as people can do a song now, like you can get there, then you can just chill. Because as long as your control on the hips is good, they're not going anywhere. Right?
Can you show that again?
Yep.
Just do the whole thing.
Here, here, come around, here, with him, right.
Oh, so you're reaching.
Right? same thing we were just doing from the back, I'm doing from the front. Grabbing his hip and locking his hips in. So just sit. Yeah, I can't turn that. That's gonna be so bad. Yeah.
Right, because
That's pretty much the only way I'm gonna want to try to go, right?
Right. Yeah, he doesn't have much of a choice there.
if he goes to his shoulder, just to stop you from sliding your knee under, just stepping over them.
So, just sit with this hip. Alright. So you're saying before I get this knee in when we first went in?
Yeah, he decides to try to go back flat. You go get flat. Turn back anyways. Oh.
He doesn't want to go that way, no.
Right? Does that make sense? Can you see it again? Good? Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Right? So I gotta move my hips back as I twist. Right? Or here. Right? He's gonna most likely try to sit up, move, do whatever. I'm just controlling this. If he comes up on that left hand, I think it's like Alright, so now I'm here. This is the spot I want to be in. So now I'm completely connected to his hips. I can take the back whenever I want. He can't really do anything to stop me.
Can you show the mechanics for getting into his hands again?
Yes.
Sitting with your shoulder on his.
Stand up. Yes. So when I come around and I get to here, I'm pushing his shoulder down with my shoulder and I'm driving into his thigh with my knee, right? So this bends him over and doesn't let him step forward. So then he has to put his hand on the mat.
Oh, okay. So you're not jumping and putting all your weight in his leg.
No, I'm just twisting as I hop.
The problem is if I go straight turtle, I know. Then you just get thrown.
When you're putting weight in that shoulder, you're putting a lot of weight.
Yes. Right, because I'm trying to bend him, right? And I'm blocking him from stepping forward. So if he can't step forward and I'm bending him, he has to go here.
Yes, I got you, right. Okay.
Right? So it forces him right where I want him to go. Does that make sense? But, so we're here, and then I'm driving. I want this bottom hip, right? Spin. I want this locked. I want to be here. Yeah, you have to work to feel right. Alright? Does that make sense? So when you go to sit them, make sure you give them space to sit. You gotta move your hips back a little bit. And then when they sit, I'm grabbing that bottom hip and locking their hips with my forearm, and I'm sliding my knee underneath. That locks them in place, and then I can take my time taking their back. Alright? Let's do it for a little while longer. 3, 2, 1. When I whip him down and we get here, and I catch and I slide in and I sit. This is one of the things PJ talked about, is if you think of jiu-jitsu like a conversation, right? Like sometimes I need to speak and sometimes I need to listen. When I'm here, I don't need to speak right now. I can just sit here and listen. He's got to move. He's got to do something to get out of this, right? Wherever he wants to go is fine with me. Because all his paths are back. Right? So I don't need to be in a hurry right there. Right? I'm just going to control him and let him choose where we're going. Right? And sometimes when you're in a dominant position, that's the best thing you can do. Right? If I get Max's back and I lock up a body triangle. Right? Right now, I don't need to go crazy trying to find a finish. He's not going anywhere right now until he deals with this body triangle. Right? So while he's dealing with that, I wait for him to make mistakes and then I look for my finishes. Right? I don't have to constantly be the one speaking. Right? Sometimes it's better to hold a position and listen. Right? We don't always have to be dictating the pace. I get to a good spot, I can let them move and let them put themselves in bad spots. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so now we're going to kind of rewind a little bit. We're going to go back to this beginning, but instead of hitting the arm drag, we're just going to end up in an over-under, right? So I get here, and we lock up, and we're in this position, right? So what I'm going to do here, let's turn you a little bit. So this hand here, you can grab a few different places. PJ likes to grab right here on the scapula with what he calls the Spider-Man fingers, right? So he's just grabbing like this, right? My arms are really long. I really don't like that because I feel like I'm all like bunched up, right? So I come up and I grab here a little bit more. So it's kind of gonna be dependent on what feels right to you, right? But I want control of this shoulder, right? I need this control, and we'll see why here in a second, right? So we get to our over-under, and I'm getting this control, right? So then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a little side step, right? So I'm just gonna switch my feet so I can step out to the side, kind of like we were doing before. And this time, just like we did before when we blocked the leg, I'm gonna connect to his leg again, but this time I'm gonna use it to sweep him and take him down. Right? So we're here, I get inside, I'm playing this game. We get to our pummel, I got my over under. All right? So I'm just gonna switch my feet and I'm gonna step to this outside, cutting the angle on him. Because I have that angle, now I can pull this shoulder. As I pull the shoulder, I connect to his leg and we can sit him right down. Right? One more. All right, so we get here, I'll use this grip this time, it's the same idea. All right, I get my over under, step, take him down. Make sense?
This is the little switch step.
Yep. It's like the men running there, right? So I'm here, I got this, I'm just here. So I'm gonna move this foot first and
Okay.
right? So it's just as I come around the
And
corner.
then you're pivoting.
Okay.
Yes, right? So I turn my toes hard so that I can make this turn around the corner.
And then you're pulling.
And then I'm pulling, right? So I pull, block. Right? I don't need to see his leg, right? So once I get this corner, like his leg is right there. I don't need to see it because my leg's right in front of his leg. So when I go to pull him, I just,
You can't even try to hop either. Because then you just like, yeah, you're still going.
right. And so when I do that, right, I got my over under, I switch my feet, I step, as I pull, I straighten my leg and I pull it this way. And I sit him down. Right? Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. My right leg up and put my left leg where my right leg was. And I step to the outside. That's all it is, right? I'm just picking my right leg up, left leg replaces it, and I step to the outside. Right? I'm not stepping, pulling. Right? Right? It's just a. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions on that otherwise? Any questions on any of the other stuff we did today?